So I'm Sean Cowan, and as David said, I will be talking about communication and database stuff. So on the client side, there are two aspects to its communications. It builds requests and gets data back from the server, and it also detects nearby. It takes this Wi-Fi detection, gathers information on nearby Wi-Fi hotspots, and uploads those to the database. So the way that the client gets information from the database is it first gets either your current GPS or a GPS of a location you input, takes filters that the user specifies, such as private or public hotspots, and sends that information to the server. The server then takes that information and builds a response, based on what the client requests. To upload information from the client to the server, the iPhone will take information from nearby hotspots using its Wi-Fi detection and upload that information to the server's database, which then the server can process. Doing this, though, there is no direct connection between the client and the database at any given time. So the server actually parses the information and handles all access to the database, whether incoming or outgoing. This provides necessary security functions and prevents things like SQL injection, which we can detect using the server. So when the server builds a response, what it's building is an HTML and JavaScript. The server will take information from the database and build a JavaScript and wrap it in HTML, which is then sent back to the client, which is interpreted and displayed as a map on the iPhone. Now let's look at the communication from the server side. So the server has two aspects: the PHP and HTML front end and the MySQL back end. So in the PHP and HTML front end, that's all the scripts and processing that handles requests and sends responses from the iPhone, and accepts all information from the iPhone, such as hotspots, to be uploaded to the database. The MySQL backend controls and manages the database. Well, basically MySQL is a database itself. It has all interpretation of the database and allows you to fill out requests and filter responses based on queries to the database. It also will allow you to filter data from incoming hotspot information that wants to be uploaded to the database, therefore allowing you to remove any redundancies or perhaps any outdated data that might be still on the iPhone when the user finally submits to the server. So moving on. So taking a look at the database, there are two databases being used in the triPhi. One on the server side and one on the client side. The server database stores all the upload reports received from users. This contains information on nearby hotspots captured by the iPhone at any given time when the capture feature was used. This allows us to continue updating data on hotspots in our database, add new ones as they're found, and remove any obsolete or non-existent ones. Information on the server database is stored by MAC ID. This allows us to hopefully avoid any duplicate entries, as theoretically every hotspot should have a unique MAC address. Moving on to the client database is used primarily for offline mode and to store hotspots and the end location thereof to be uploaded to the database. This allows, so basically the user will, as he's walking around using the application, will obtain information of nearby hotspots, and those will be stored into his database, and also hotspots he requests from the server will be stored into the database. Therefore, for any reason he's unable to access 3G or Wi-Fi, he can just pull up previous seen maps or lists of the hotspots that his iPhone knows about, and will be able to travel to the destinations and obtain Wi-Fi access. Moving up, next slide. So briefly, I'm going to talk about populating the database. Initially, the database will be empty. So what we'll do is upload information from pre-existing websites, such as AT&T's, which will allow us to at least get some initial hotspots in there. Unfortunately, we won't know any detailed information about those hotspots, such as MAC address. So as the users connect to those hotspots, we would be able to obtain the information uploaded, so eventually we'll be able to fill in the blanks, so to speak. Also, we'll be getting, of course, our main method will be getting information from the users as they run around using our application and getting information from nearby nearby hotspots that can be uploaded to the database. And finally, we would hope to get cooperation from third party as perhaps this application got more popular. Other providers, other than AT&T would be. So up next will be Adam Mork, and he will be talking about the user interface.